Hey, hello. Welcome to this video on 6 winning secrets to navigate through your imposter syndrome. I have taken up a topic like this largely because I have been receiving a lot of queries on how to manage one's imposter syndrome. What exactly is it? Why does it really happen to an individual? Where does it really come from? And what are the ways and means by virtue of which one could really manage this? I'm going to get deeper into all of these aspects. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in. Stay right until the end to know those secrets and also understand what are the kind of factors that you might be affected today, because of which you might be facing the challenge of self-doubt or imposter syndrome or lack of self-confidence. Let's delve right into this. So first of all, what is imposter syndrome and what are the aspects that typically define what an imposter syndrome really is? So here's my mind map. I'm just going to make the mind map bigger just for you to see it clearly. So first of all, it's not really like a chemical reaction in the brain that suddenly something happens in the brain and you feel that you are in imposter syndrome. It's something which is much beyond that. So you loosely define yourself. You have done some work, but you feel like you are a fraud because you feel that, is it really worthy enough? Have I really done something great to have this kind of a recognition? The moment you get into feeling like this, that is where you understand that you are actually going through imposter syndrome. Is it difficult to overcome it? No, not really. Is it something which is unique to you? No, not really. It happens with whole host of people. I have been through this situation and scenario myself where I used to sometimes feel, do I really deserve this? Can this happen to me? Well, it may not have happened as many number of times with me, but I know a lot of people who have gone through this or who are going through this a lot of times. I'm just kind of narrating a quick example for you to understand. You surround yourself with real smart people. When you're working with real smart people, what happens a lot of times is, what do you really feel? What kind of thoughts come to your mind? Do I really have the right kind of sense or ideas that I'm presenting? You feel that these folks are much smarter than me. Am I really as smart? And do I really have that capability? You start to think about the aspect of capability into your own head. Are you really as capable as those people are? Do you have the ability or thoughts that you can deal with them? Do you really have matching skills as well as knowledge that the other people in the room or wherever you are, whether you are a student or you are a working professional? A lot of times a student also thinks that this guy or this girl comes first in the class. I really don't have matching ability. Point is not that. Point is, what is there within you is unique to you. What is it that you could do to utilize that skill set for yourself today to grow and live a better tomorrow? Opportunities only typically comes to those who are really ready. So first of all, you need to remove this thought from your mind that you are any less than other people, and never blame anyone, whether yourself or anyone else, because no one is really responsible for our own situation. It is we ourselves who are responsible at any given point of time as to where we typically stand. So this is where imposter syndrome typically starts to come in. So I hope you have been able to get a quick sense saying, what are those kind of feelings and thoughts when you suddenly land into am I really an imposter? And you will hear this kind of statement from the best of the people, because everyone goes through a journey for themselves and they all have gone through something like this. And when you are into this mode, what happens? You start to question yourself and you start to question all of those even little achievements that you may have had. You start to question them as well, whether you really deserve those accolades. Suppose you have won a competition in a college and the competition had a lot of people, but you have been able to win. You might just shy away by saying, okay, it's not really any big deal. Anyone could have really done that. Point is not that. Point is, even taking that action to be there as part of the competition is extremely important, because every time that you take an action, you are becoming better than other people, and that's what makes a lot of difference. A lot of times you will find that disproportionately it affects people who are really high achievers, who find it really difficult a lot of times saying, okay, have I done something really exceptional? One, they're very modest, so that is fundamentally by their nature. A lot of times you'll find people modest, but a lot of times they might also undergo imposter syndrome, where the feeling that, okay, am I really a fraud, or am I really someone who deserves this, or am I really someone who has done out of the box achievement? Those are the kind of things that typically comes into this. So at this point in time, I would suggest that you take a moment to reflect on your own journey. What are those kind of situations that you may have been through? Write those kind of questions in the comment box and I'll be happy to personally answer some of those questions. I hope until now it's completely clear as to what is imposter syndrome. When someone is into a mode like this, what kind of feeling comes to a person's mind? The moment we talk about feelings could be, I am not really great, I am not good enough. And you create a lot of self expectations in your mind. The moment you create a lot of self expectations, you start to evaluate and you start to judge every little performance that you are going through, that you have done or that you are able to achieve. Instead of evaluating with microscopic lenses every single achievement, what's very, very important is to embrace saying, okay, you have done your participation, you have done your best, you've done a great job. As part of you participating into any event or any activity, or even for that matter, when we work in workplaces, we get promotions, we get rewards, we get recognition, we get even a pat on our back, or it could also be client appreciation, or it could also be in the form of a reward. Just feeling that, okay, you've been able to achieve that, and just accepting that in awareness can bring a lot of difference. Because the moment you do anything in awareness, the probability of imposter syndrome or self-doubt is probably going to go down. And this is a time-tested thing. I have also tested it on myself. You also might like to try this on your own self. If you're aware, saying, yeah, this is what I'm going through and I'm going to bring this under control, the probability for you to manage this increases considerably. The third point here is being surrounded by top team forces you to up your game. The moment you are in the midst of people who are uplifting, there is a saying that you become the average of the 5 people you spend your maximum time with. Similar thoughts, if you are there in the midst of people who are always uplifting you, who are always encouraging you in a variety of ways, that is the kind of thought that will start to come into your mind. And the probability of you judging, you evaluating, and you thinking that you are an imposter will go down considerably. In fact, you will start to feel a lot more confident about yourself rather than having that feeling of self-doubt. And finally, the more successful we become, the less confident one feels about oneself. A lot of times this happens because as you keep going upper and upper, higher and higher in the success echelons, what becomes very important is you start to feel as if you are a loner. You are alone, and the other people with whom do you discuss? Point is not that. Point is a lot of discussions that we do is with our own self. And the fact that we discuss with our own selves, we get into that kind of a feeling saying, how am I really feeling about myself? Am I doing great? What am I really doing? Is it a right thing that I've done? Is this the right decision that I've taken? All of those kind of feelings starts to come in our mind. And that you are trying to present yourself to others more than you are. You start to feel as if you are not yourself when you are discussing with other people, when you're presenting to other people. However, in reality, that may not really be the case. You just might be just your own self when you're presenting and discussing with other people. But this kind of feeling comes to your mind. So all that you need to do is bring this thought under control. So what does imposter syndrome typically speak to you? What kind of conversation does it, really do to you? The conversation that it does is you are not really worthy enough for the kind of accomplishments that you have really got. You are not really someone who deserves this, or you are not really good enough, or you are not really great. There are other people who are better than you. So the feelings that, okay, do you really deserve to get a job into a premium company? Or do you really deserve to study alongside other top-notch students in a particular college? These are the kind of feelings that will always pull you down. These are the kind of feelings which will always push you back in your career. So it's always important, and these kind of feelings are not really uncommon. They're very, very common. A lot of people go through this. They feel that they are not really worthy of the career growth or of the academic accomplishments or of all the appreciations that they might receive during their career of education or during their career post-education as well. But what's very important is again to be in awareness. And I'm also going to discuss in a little while about those 6 things that you might like to follow to win yourself with imposter syndrome. Okay, the next one coming here is it really a conflict? I would say it is really a conflict that's happening in your mind. And why do I really call this a conflict? Because it's a conflict between what your own self-perceptions are. How are you really perceiving yourself in comparison to what others are perceiving you? Others perceive you as someone who is very strong, but you start to perceive yourself, no, I am not really great at it. I'm just kind of average. The moment you start to look at yourself with upper lenses, the moment you start to look at yourself from the perspective saying, yes, I have done phenomenal contributions, start to reflect on what are the kind of achievements that you have had, instead of questioning, saying, do I really deserve this? Have I really done something significant? So the moment you start asking questions, have I done something really significant for this to happen with me? That is where your mind is actually fighting. The self-perception is fighting with what others are perceiving you. So you don't really believe that whatever you have earned is what you deserve. You start to feel that, okay, because you know someone or because you are closer to someone, you have got those kind of achievements. You have to come out of feeling like this. You have these kind of thoughts coming into your mind. You also start to feel that whatever is running in your mind, others will eventually realize this. And that's where you have that feeling of being a fraud. However, in reality, there's nothing like that that's really happening with you. Next point I would like to share with you is more about symptoms. What are really the symptoms because of which you might really feel that you are an imposter syndrome? There are multiple symptoms that might come into the mind. And let me tell you, there's not a single reason, there are multiple reasons. The way it starts is right from our early age. From our young days, we always follow our parents, our grandparents, our siblings, our near and dear ones, our own friends. So you never know from where you probably start to build up this because as young children, we are always carefree. We are bubbling with high level of confidence and high level of energy. However, as we get into adulthood, what happens? Opinions of other people start to impact us in a variety of ways. Because opinions of other people are impacting us, we start to live that kind of life. So coming here, there's not a single cause, a number of them together combined. So as I said, right from early school days, you are being a lot of times in the past, parents always used to pressurize kids for marks. Even today, it happens in a lot of families. Invariably, there are comparisons saying, okay, you are not as good as your brother, you are not as good as your friends, you are not as good as this, as XYZ relatives. And if you've done some mistakes, instead of you getting appreciation saying, okay, you've done a mistake, no problem, learn from it so that you can become better, a lot of times criticism comes in. And the moment criticism comes in, if someone imbibes those criticisms into oneself, what will happen is it finds a little bit of place inside the head. And that's where you have this imposter syndrome running in your mind. Even if you do something good, you will feel, I may have really done this as a mistake. Even academic success at this stage, a lot of times could lead to such kind of feelings at a later date, saying, okay, I was told I'm not really good enough. How can I really do this, do something like this? And the other point that I was talking to you about was growing adulthood. In terms of growing adulthood, a lot of times people have this belief right from early days, and those beliefs become stronger. Opinion of others, listen to what other people are saying. You don't have a voice of your own. You only follow what other people have told you all the time. And it could also be something, new, which is happening with you only during the college days. You might begin to believe that other people in the college, because of their academic accomplishments, because of the other kind of, co-curricular or extracurricular achievements, they are better than you. The moment you give that kind of feeling, you are downgrading yourself. And the moment you downgrade yourself, that is where one of the biggest challenges typically come in, guys. As a result, you might worry that you don't belong to that environment at all. And this is one of the biggest challenges. The moment you get into a feeling like that you don't belong to this environment, that is where you are giving importance to your imposter syndrome. And that is what needs to be avoided in a situation like that. The next point here is it is strongest when systems and procedures are not in place. What I really mean by that is if your life is really running like a roller coaster and you have not really given importance to your own value systems, it is just running in its own pace. The moment you become a learner, and the moment you start to implement a lot of those learnings in real life, your ability to manage your imposter syndrome increases considerably. When your systems and procedures are not really in place, you're just a learner and you're just a beginner. It's like the early days of your career, the early days of your life and stuff like that. You pressure yourself to work harder. A lot of times people put in a lot of pressure saying, okay, you keep others from recognizing your shortcomings and failures. You always discuss and engage with others saying, how are you really doing? You become worthy of roles. You pressure yourself saying, okay, you got to get this, you got to get this award because other people had told you that you'll never be able to get it and stuff like that. So a lot of times what happens is you start to think that can you cover all of these things up on account of your lack of intelligence, and that feeling saying, okay, I'm lacking something, also leads to you being in imposter syndrome. Then the recognitions that you have earned, it becomes more like sympathy and it becomes more like a pity, saying, okay, you start to link those kind of accomplishments or recognition just to chance, saying it just happened by chance. I haven't done anything great. You accept all the blames for any kind of mistakes that may have happened. Even if you end up losing a game, you will first blame yourself rather than, collectively as a team, you guys haven't been able to accomplish. Instead of that, you start to blame yourself. You making minor errors, reinforcing. And what happens is even if you make minor errors, it reinforces your belief in your lack of intelligence and ability because you start to live in that kind of a feeling. And that is where you end up creating bigger problems. Just being mindful makes a lot of difference. Some examples here. See, there is this age-old saying, what you think about is what typically grows in your mind. And if you're thinking that you're doing awesome, that is the kind of thinking that typically grows into your mind. And all of the self-destructive attitude that you may really feel inside of you, and all the times that you speak to yourself, you always speak to yourself saying, okay, there's this problem, that problem. You start to self-criticize yourself. All of those things, the moment you get into that mindset, all of those things start to grow. And that is where there's a big challenge. And what are those examples? What is it that you might typically end up speaking to yourself? I'm not really good enough to play with with the big people in the industry. You start to put other people on a certain pedestal, and the moment you put other people on the pedestal, you might just come down. Even if you haven't done any big mistake, you start to evaluate those things, saying, okay, these are some big blunders that I've really done and stuff like that. And the moment you do all of that, what is the message that you are giving to yourself? So the message that you need to give to yourself all the time is, these are just opportunities to learn lessons and grow. If you consider them as opportunities for you to learn lessons and grow, you will take each one of them into your stride and then take all of these things on a very, very positive front. So here are the 6 secrets that I'm going to share with you, which can really be impactful for you to win and navigate on your imposter syndrome. So the point number 1 is always be in the mode of gratitude. Whatever situation that you are in today, you got to thank whatever you have, even for that mobile phone, for the pillow that you use to sleep, for the office that you visit, for the food that you eat, for all the blessings that you have, the fact that you stay with a variety of family members. You got to be thankful for all of those things and be grateful for all that you have. So as a personal example, I have been, extending 10 things that I'm grateful for the previous day, and I have been doing that for over 550 days. And let me tell you, my life has really changed a lot, and I am really, really thankful for all those little things that are really happening in my life. So whatever be your situation, it is all happening for a bigger and larger purpose. Just respect that and be mindful of that, and just recognize this all the time. Second bit is be kind to yourself. The fact that I'm encouraging you to be kind to yourself is largely because a lot of times, even for those small mistakes, the moment you become self-critical, the moment you start to judge, the moment you start to evaluate yourself, that is where you are not pacing yourself appropriately. You are really trying to run a jet rocket speed. Set for yourself small and incremental milestones, one step at a time. Are you better than how you were yesterday? Awesome. Practice the art and science of self-compassion, because self-compassion is all about being kind to oneself. And if you are kind to yourself, you also got to be conscious of the words that you speak and how are those words coming and taking shape in the form of thoughts in your mind, because those make a lot of difference. And then finally, under being kind to yourself, I would also encourage that always run after excellence and not after perfection, because the moment we run after perfection, we try to perfect every single thing to the last T, and this happens when you live in a constant fear of discovery. So perfectionist is that constant fear of discovery, saying, okay, this is not really happening the way I want, this is not really happening the way it is expected, and as a result, what happens is you tend to get burned out because of perfectionism. But when you look at excellence, you have given your best shot and you are just happy as it is. So be in that kind of a mode so that you can progress. The third point here is your daily rituals. What are the kind of daily rituals that you follow every single day that creates such a huge impact in your life? So your daily rituals is, it's like saying, okay, allow yourself some time to look back and reflect. How has been your day? What are your key learnings? How have you become better than how you were yesterday? Look at all of your wins over the years, which have really made you who you have truly become. And what can you do today to develop yourself? What are the tools and what are the arms and ammunitions that you have today in your hand, by virtue of which you can impact yourself and you can impact others? Start building habits like maybe even journaling. A lot of times, just putting and penning down your thoughts of self-doubt or of imposter syndrome can be magical for you to release those kind of negative thoughts from your mind. And then finally, do your research. Because only promise things that you can truly deliver. Unnecessarily, if you promise yourself things that you can't deliver, it's going to build unnecessary expectations in your mind, and that's going to make things a little difficult and challenging for you. The fourth thing here is make a list of all your unique attributes. See, each one of us are unique in this blessed world. There's no comparison that you have with anyone else, because you have had your own journey. You carry your own set of unique attributes, skills, capabilities, personality. You always want to be known for certain specific things. So what are your attributes and how can you link your attributes, your personality, to what you really want to achieve in your life? Think and reflect on those areas. The fifth one is, when people thank you genuinely, always accept that people are genuinely blessing you for the fabulous contributions that you have given to them. Accept it and feel it like an achievement. Reflect on all of your past achievements and embrace and be in that feeling and be in that mode, so that you can take yourself to the next bigger level of achievements. And that's only possible when you know that, okay, you have already achieved this and now you got to achieve bigger and bolder milestones. And the sixth and the final one is connect with others and never compare. When you connect with others and you don't compare to yourself, a lot of times because of the social media, we are part of a variety of communities. We can reach out to a lot of people. You can give suggestions, you can take suggestions. So all of these things are fine, but comparison is a killer. never compare yourself to anyone else, is as I have rightly spoken a little while ago, because instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own self. Because if you focus on your own self, the quality and the attributes that you possess can absolutely be magical for you. And if you work from your strengths, what can really happen is, will you achieve a lot more? Your self-confidence is going to grow and you are going to be a lot more energized. And as a result, the net outcome will be focusing on your strengths can make a huge difference. I hope you enjoyed this entire journey of imposter syndrome with me. I'm sure this journey would have left you with certain thoughts. What are your thoughts and what are you reflecting from this journey that I've discussed with you? Do comment in the comment box below and I'll be happy to answer as well as take you deeper into this journey. Cheers. God bless. Bye-bye.